Hey everyone, Silver here. We're going to be starting a new series on mindset and mentality in esports. Whether you're playing a shooter, MOBA, traditional fighting game, or in my case, for example, a platform fighter like Smash, mentality is extremely important. This series is going to cover various topics that I think are worth considering as you try to shape a good mentality. They draw from my own experience as a competitor, and though I'm not necessarily an expert in sports psychology, the lessons I've learned as a competitor have helped me to be ranked across multiple games, be ranked first in a game in my own region, and justify traveling for gaming and competition, even to the extent of going outside of the country, and even to the extent of being invited by out-of-region organizers for their events. And so what I ask is that you consider the topics that I mentioned, even if you think the solutions or the philosophy behind it is not necessarily for you. What's important with mentality and mindset is to be able to have conversations with yourself and understand you fundamentally. It's very difficult to instill change if you don't understand who you are. So let's go into the first topic today, and it's going to be the importance of mentality. In just about any competitive sphere, people will talk about how important mentality is, how crucial it is. How or why is it important? To put it briefly, it's your ability to remain focused, to adapt to changing situations, and to evaluate your progress so that you improve and continue to apply yourself. How this can manifest in a competitive setting is it can be the difference between less than 50% of your effort versus 100% of your effort, or close to 100%. If you're not able to give your best effort, it's going to be a lot harder to succeed. In a competitive sphere, the objective is to beat your opponent. And so focus matters quite a bit. When we talk about how mentality is meant to keep you focused and alert in the game, it's very easy to get caught up in other things that aren't related, or to be distracted while we play. Sometimes these problems of focus and attention can be pretty obvious, and we can sometimes tell why they're happening. For example, let's say we're caught up about stuff that maybe we should be leaving for after we play. Something like private life or social pressure that's associated with the game itself. Those are difficult to separate while we play, but at the same time, I think we're aware that they're things that we probably shouldn't be thinking about at that time. Sometimes it can be game related as well too, such as being caught up by missing a golden opportunity, getting tilted, or feeling completely outmatched and kind of almost resigning ourselves. There are other examples that we could use, but those are a few that we can say are pretty obvious ones. We might not always know what the reason is for our focus kind of going away, but I think it becomes important over time to become more and more aware of the cause, because ultimately we want to be able to address the underlying issues and be able to set aside everything that we need to set aside so that we can just do our best when we have to play in a match. Now, the challenge, and this is why mentality and mindset get talked about so often, is that it's much easier said than done to have a good mindset. I think for some people, it almost feels like for them, they're incapable of having a better mindset than what they already have. Basically, the idea is that they're stuck in their ways so bad that even if you talk about what's nice about a given mindset, it's just not possible for them to do it. And I mean, truthfully speaking, mindsets can change. You can change your mindset if you're willing, if you believe that you can. But ultimately, you hold yourself accountable for it, and you need to have an idea of what you need to hold yourself accountable for. If we want to have a strong mentality or mindset, what's it going to take to make it happen? What does a strong mindset look like? So I'm just going to lay out a couple starting steps, in my opinion, that can help to contribute to a strong mindset. It's very simple, but consists of the following. The outline of the entire thing is just goal setting and goal management. That consists of, 1, having a goal that you can work towards. The goal itself can vary quite a bit, and that's kind of almost a topic for itself, but it's important to have a goal. Number 2, try to work towards achieving your goal and monitor your progress. It's important to do this because ultimately once you set a goal, you want to be able to work towards it and achieve it, hopefully. And 3, we also want to be able to review the ground that we still have to make and the obstacles that are in our path. It's not always going to be just a direct path of, if I put in enough work, I'll achieve my goal. A lot of times we're going to run into roadblocks, and we're going to have to figure out what's it going to take to get past it. This simple framework, the idea behind it, is just because it provides direction and the ability to learn from success and failure. I think it's just much more efficient. I'll close off today's video by just describing a simple but what I'd consider strong mindset. Now, here are the key aspects. It's a strong ability to focus on the game and let yourself play, the ability to respect your opponent as a competitor, and the ability to evaluate your progress so that you improve and continue to apply yourself. Let's go into those bit by bit. When we talk about focusing on the game and letting yourself play, it doesn't mean that your mind has to be only focused on the game itself. The point is that you free yourself from restraints and distractions. This also means having the ability to have confidence in your own experience, sincerely believing that your practice and skill will allow you to succeed. In a lot of competitions, there can only be one winner, and so competing often involves a lot of losing. So a lot of times you'll come up short, but that confidence implies that if you do your best and keep working, you will be able to get further along. The idea that you can eventually adapt and overcome if you persevere. It's not blind faith, and yeah, in failing, let's say for example, it's a case where sometimes you might not find the answer in time. Over the course of your career, you might struggle to find answers at all for certain situations. But that's part of your competitive journey. You want to one day find those answers, so don't give up. For having the ability to respect your opponent as a competitor, the idea is that it doesn't matter whether the opponent's skill is bottom or top tier. Competition is competition. And so when we lose or we're set back, there's a reason for it. And that reason we have to be able to understand. Now, in competitive esports, there's definitely a factor of RNG involved. And if it's RNG's fault entirely, that's one thing. But competition transcends luck. It's not always RNG's fault. In fact, it's pretty rare, I would say. To have the best chance of winning, we want to have an answer to as many play styles, matchups, and tactics or strategies as possible. It doesn't matter how those factors present themselves to us, because at the end of the day, we still have to play against them and win against them. If you can't win against those factors, then you need to learn how to, or else it will always be a potential obstacle in your path. It may always be a roadblock if you can't take the time to figure out the solution. Sometimes it does involve playing in a way that we'd rather not. But at the end of the day, being able to accept losses will sometimes be a tough pill to swallow, but it's an important one that we need to be able to do, because it gets us to the roadblock sooner and it lets us address it sooner. And that's how this relates to adaptation, because ultimately, if we are stuck in our ways because we refuse to acknowledge it, then it's very difficult to change in the ways that we need to. Lastly, the ability to evaluate your progress so that you improve and continue to apply yourself. Now, we're on a continuous journey when we're trying to improve competitively, and it can be forward motion, it can sometimes be backward motion. A lot of times it's plateauing, feeling like we're not really making much progress. But the best that we can do, I would say, is to apply yourself and to try and figure out what is there that you can keep doing to improve your play. What's the next step? What's the next thing you can focus on? Don't take on too much at once. You want to be specific in what you try to improve upon, but at the end of the day, this eventual work and effort will pay off. So that's just a very simple mindset there. There's definitely a lot more to it, and a lot more that can relate to specific games in general. There's so many different ways that you can look at mindset, and it's a very personalized effort. So that's it for this video today. Comment down below on what your ideal mindset in your opinion is. Drop a like if you want, or subscribe, and I'll see you folks next video. Take care.